Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
All right, we're going to go to some breaking news. A police pursuit underway for a possible murder suspect connected to that shooting in Newport Beach.
Desmond Shaw is live in SkyCal with the latest for us. Desmond.
Copy. Oh, Amy and Juan, this is a very dangerous pursuit here as we're getting into the height of afternoon rush hour westbound on the 105. You can see here, look at this, over 100 miles an hour on the left-hand shoulder in the center divider. They're blasting by some pretty slow traffic on this one. So this is the one that Mike was just telling us about that began in Orange County, we believe was a suspected shooting at the Fashion Island Mall.
Oh.
And it was Newport PD. Well, I think he might have
Did
gone
you
up
see
against
that?
the center
Yeah.
divider right there. Yeah, that was pretty scary, almost lost control. So we believe that there may be multiple people in the car, obviously suspected to be armed and dangerous. It was Newport PD that was behind them on the ground, but there are no ground units directly behind the suspect at this point. Huntington Beach was lending their helicopter from the air as we're now over to the far right-hand shoulder. Pretty desperate suspect here. I think I see maybe a little bit of damage from brushing up against the center divider here. So we are westbound on the 105, and we may be exiting the freeway here at Paramount, Juan and Amy.
Yeah, and we should remind our viewers that might not have seen the top of the show that this was a shooting that happened at Fashion Island Mall in Newport Beach around 3:30 this afternoon.
Right, 3:39 p.m. is what time they got that call. Metronet Dispatch, which handles the dispatching for Newport Beach Fire, tells me that they did not transport anybody and that somebody did die.
Oh, here we
Oh,
go.
they're getting
Foot bail.
Out of the car.
They're running.
Yep, out and running. Yep. We've got multiple suspects. Is this guy holding a gun? Well, he got something in his hand here, but they are out. You see one of them wearing a mask as well. They are out and running at the something in his hand here, but they are out. You see one of them wearing a mask as well. They are out and running at the top of the Paramount off-ramp now, making this turn on to Paramount. We will stick with them here, but again, we did not see any authorities on the ground. Let's hope they're not going to try to carjack somebody right here as they run across traffic, and we'll just keep the map tracker up on this one now as they're on Lincoln Avenue. I believe this is going to be Lincoln Avenue. We'll see if the suspects split up.
They did.
They might be splitting up here. We're gonna stick with this one right here that we have that's running into the alley, running pretty fast. We'll see how far they can. Oh boy! My pilot Dylan just told us that this person down here did just try to carjack somebody allegedly. Now you can see up there looking at us. So we're in a backyard here. Pretty scary stuff with someone that we believe may be armed with a handgun.
And these are possible murder suspects, right, Mike?
Right. Yeah. I mean, these are homes. So before we got to where we're at now, before Desmond got overhead, they did stop and let several other people out of the car. So this is the second time they have stopped. It's obviously unclear which one of these allegedly pulled the trigger, if that is any of these two people, or if the person who is accused of pulling the trigger took off first. But that's a phone in his hand.
Oh no!
Like Yeah.
Going right up to these houses. Of course, these people may be unaware who is in their backyard and how dangerous this is if, in fact, this is the person with a gun. We did say that it looked like it was a phone, but we do know that there was a shooting earlier. We don't know which of the suspects was involved in that shooting, but we do know that they were all in the car. Mike, you mentioned that two had already gotten out, and two we just watched as two ran out, including that one that was in the gray
some action right there, Des.
in that backyard.
Oh, yeah, there he is, right in the backyard. The good news is right now I'm looking, we've got Huntington Beach PD's helicopters over this, as well as CHP is now here, too. So hopefully they can split up. And Des, now we've got a homeowner in the backyard.
I think it's that house right there.
Yes.
And I think he's under that awning,
No, you're good. Yeah, right under the awning. I think I just saw him here right up against the fence. And there is it looked like a husky in the backyard.
There's a resident
here
right there.
is someone else. Yeah, this guy.
He let his dog out.
The commotion is. Yep, so you got dogs in both yards here. That's why, these suspects, sometimes they just go willy-nilly thinking they can hop in the backyard. They might really regret that, getting a dog bite or something. But Huntington Beach PD, they are aware of this from the air. Let's just widen out, though. I've not seen anyone on the ground. The closest unit that I saw was actually an LA County Sheriff's deputy, but I'm not even sure that they were involved in this pursuit at all. We had heard that it was Newport Beach PD, but now in the backyard, as we're getting a little bit vertical here, we'll back off here once we get a second. But the two suspects split up, it looks like, into varying backyards here, just off of Harding and Paramount Avenue, guys.
And a lot of homes in this neighborhood, too, of course. We're watching you here on the right side of your screen here. This is where these two suspects just foot bailed. They saw some traffic there as they were trying to get off the freeway, and they started running, splitting up for just a little bit of time, and now ending up in possibly inside a home here or in the backyard of a home here in this area here, which is the area of Harding Avenue and Hoover Avenue in the Southgate, Los Angeles area. Very dangerous. If you are in this neighborhood, definitely you're going to be hearing the helicopters up above. You may hear some police making announcements over a loudspeaker, something to be concerned about, and make sure those doors are locked because you can see how quickly these guys move, and they can make it into your house before you know it.
And unfortunately, a pretty perfect opportunity for them with no law enforcement at all behind them. They gave them that opportunity to get out of the car and run. And, you know, the most problematic part is that they split up. So now we still have not seen any ground units, which is an incredibly long amount of time from the time they got out of the car.
Yeah, this is certainly a scary time for the folks that live in this neighborhood because, as we mentioned, they don't necessarily know what's happening. Right. They didn't hear the sirens coming up. They might not hear the police. Unfortunately, helicopters above in LA, you know, aren't so uncommon. So folks might not be realizing. We're watching that little bit of,
this guy's
we saw that white Toyota hit the center divider there.
The sheriff's helicopter.
Yes.
So, Des, I actually think that makes 3 helicopters that are above this, or just 2. Is CHP still there?
Yeah.
And we see somebody in that front yard.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, this guy looked like he was trying to maybe point out to law enforcement of the helicopters, hey, I see him right here. He was pointing here. This was where we last saw the suspect. As we come around, bear with us here because we do have 3 law enforcement helicopters on this. And obviously, we need to give them plenty of space as we come back around. But he was pointing right here. So the suspect maybe had hopped the wall. But, you know, this person, unfortunately, doesn't have any idea how dangerous a situation this could be for them being in this as we kind of double in. Yeah, I think, is that them right there? Yeah, there. Look at that, right below the beware of dog sign.
Oh, yeah.
There is that suspect. Let
behind
me see
the
if
green
I can
container.
Get
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right there. There he is.
Yeah.
Trying to lay as low as possible.
Is he taking off his sweatshirt? I think he's taking off his shirt.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe going for a little bit of a clothing change to throw off the authorities. A very common tactic with these suspects right here. Let's keep the magnifying glass on them if we can. Oh, it's just so dark down there. Actually, it's not really going to be very helpful. It might be able to lighten it for us here.
Well, Desmond, while you do that, I know that Mike Rogers needs to talk to you for a second. Amy Johnson and I will keep monitoring the situation here and keep watching what's going on here. You can see now we have zeroed in on an area right there on the side yard of this home where you see the beware of dog sign and those 2 green recycling bins. That is where one of the suspects in this possible shooting at the Fashion Island Mall in Newport Beach is basically hiding out. I think we saw him take off his sweatshirt. He was wearing a lighter color gray sweatshirt perhaps. And while he was still kind of hiding behind the green container, you could see him take off his shirt. It's still pretty dark there, but we were able to get a pretty decent shot of him. And Desmond is using that magnifier there. And you can see whether or not he's there. I think I do see kind of a head. Mike, do you see it like a bald head right there?
Yeah, he's crouching right behind the trash can there. And the reason I wanted to talk to Desmond really quick is because I noticed that CHP helicopter actually left the scene and was continuing to track on the westbound 105. So I wanted to make sure that they didn't pick up another car.
Oh, okay. So you think that when we watch these 2 suspects get out of that white Toyota, one went one direction, he was in black, the other in the gray.
Yeah.
We are watching who we believe is the suspect that was in the gray.
In the gray, correct.
So the one that was in black ran off, and now that person may in fact be in another car?
We don't know definitively. There was just this, the CHP helicopter left the scene and continued to track the 105, which made me concerned that may be what was happening. So that's what I was asking Des and our pilot to see if we could get in communication with that CHP helicopter.
And did you hear at one
Mike,
point
I see some movement. There he is right there. Look, he's got his hands up. Oh, he's on the ground now.
Perhaps some. Oh,
there they are.
Yes, they have caught up with him. We did see someone in that yard pointing in a direction, and apparently one of those law enforcement officers in the helicopter actually probably saw that, and now they have made their way to this one suspect, the one that was in gray. We do know that there is at least one other suspect outstanding. And Mike, you had talked about even 2 more suspects that had gotten out of the car before we saw the pursuit?
So let me see if I can figure out where that was. So yeah, that was just east of Los Alamitos Airport in the area of Holder and Orangewood Avenue. And I actually see a law enforcement helicopter in that area right now. I guess that's probably technically Los Alamitos or Cypress maybe, but that is where, and I don't know definitively how many, but I know suspects got out there. So there were 2 helicopters tracking this up the 405. When they went north of the 405, north of the 22, they stopped in that area. A couple suspects got out and ran. We have a police helicopter that stayed with this. The rest of them continued here to where we are right now, where we know that these other suspects were.
Well, it looks like he's getting up. It looks like there may be a cell phone or maybe a weapon there on the ground as well. He is now standing. Yeah, it looks like a cell phone. His hands are up, so he clearly did take off his sweatshirt or whatever shirt he was wearing. May have thrown it in one of those green bins there, but now he's making his way with hands up, moving backwards towards the officers there who are waiting for him. And again, we have 1 suspect in custody, 2 others who got away earlier, and then maybe there's a 3rd who may be in another car that was stolen. So hopefully once they get some information from this guy here, they can figure out where the other suspects may or may not be. Mike,
can you tell us a little bit more about what initially happened, the shooting at
That's all we know. Our Michelle Geely, who's on the way to the scene, she has some information that it happened near a Barnes & Noble. The fire department's call, it's kind of smack in the middle of the mall, so it's hard to tell if they just dropped a pin there or if that's specifically where it happened. But I do see, let's see, an engine, 2 trucks, an ambulance, and a battalion chief assigned to that incident for Newport Beach. And like I said, MetroNet, who handles dispatch for Newport Beach Fire, did tell me that they had 1 person that died as a result, that they did go to that mall for a shooting, and that they did not transport anybody else.
do we know if the shooting happened in the mall, in the parking lot? Was it a robbery?
I mean, like we said, near the Barnes & Noble, so I don't know if that's, on the parking lot side of Barnes & Noble or in the mall side of Barnes & Noble. And I hate to interrupt, but Des, as we're finishing this up, their LAPD is now in pursuit as well. So I'd like to get Desmond over to that now that this guy's in custody if we can. Westbound 10 at the 110, Des.
Okay.